Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Immersive Medicine Podcast. In this episode, we speak with Emmy-winning creative director Ryan Hartsell about his work and experience. Tune in and gain a behind-the-scenes perspective on how immersive media is created and how it can be applied in therapeutic ways.
All right. Welcome in and welcome back to the Immersive Medicine Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in today. For those joining in for the first time, my name is Kira. I am your co-host, and I'm a digital arts and media educator with a passion for video games, digital arts, and production. Joining me today is our co-host, Cody.
Hello, everyone. I am Cody. I'm your co-host, and I'm a music therapist and therapy designer with years of clinical experience using media as medicine in mental health, rehabilitation, and neurologic disorders. Joining us today is also Toby.
Hi, I'm Toby. I'm an occupational therapist. I have a clinical background in working with people who have spinal cord injury, brain injury, as well as a couple of years in pediatrics, working with a host of diagnoses, but also combining my love being a lifelong gamer with therapy and, exploring that with my clients. And I'm going to drop it down to Ryan Douglas at the bottom there.
You're right there for me.
You're like right here for me. Like you're on the other
Cody
side.
did another one of these for me, and he was like doing the magic square stuff, and I'm trying to talk to a guy. I'm like, where is he going?
It was getting crazy.
I'm Ryan Douglas. I am a therapy designer and accidentally fell into the video game business. And I think we figured out in the last 48 hours we are 100% in the video game business. And I'm really excited that one of my close buddies and someone who sucked me into this damn industry is here with us, Ryan Hartsell.
What a intro. We're gonna get more into that.
It's got an Emmy or something.
Wait, you mean that thing that's on the table on the left hand side
right there? Just
you mean
casually in the background.
It's a dragon. What do you? Oh, that one. I can't see it because Gorilla.
Ghidorah's fighting it.
Yeah.
That's actually really funny.
That's good.
Take it away, Ryan.
Hi, I'm Ryan Hartsell. I'm a creative director at Flight School Studio, and I've been involved in immersive media since the next round of evolution in VR. And it's expanded into all different flavors now, not just VR. So,
Wow.
But, yeah.
Nice.
Happy to be here.
All right. Cool.
It's great to have you, by the way, Ryan. We're excited to hear more about your experience.
We have Ryan squared in the.
We do have too many Ryans.
Ryan squared right now.
We're taking over, as part of the plan strategy.
You know what the worst part is for me is if there's even one of me in the room, I hear there's too many Ryans. So this.
For those who weren't here last episode, we discussed the regulations and reimbursements for digital therapeutics and brought up the topic of FDA clearance for digital therapeutics and how regulations are important to discern between the hundreds of thousands of wellness apps that are already out there. So, as mentioned before, today we have our special guest, Mr. Ryan Hartsell. He's going to be sharing his experience with immersive media. Ryan, can you share a bit about your role and journey as a creative director and how you became involved in immersive media?
Mainly because I don't know how to say no.
Valid.
I'm always looking to have a new creative challenge, and I've come through different forms of parts of the industry. I have an animation background, a motion design background, a filmmaking background. I draw. I do a lot of different things. So I've always kind of dabbled and been a jack of all trades, in a way. And that's kind of kept me nimble in moving in different places in the industry. And as the industry changed, you know, I was a motion designer and animator at Real Effects. I worked on the Book of Life and like, you know, they do feature film animation stuff. And they asked if they knew I was a filmmaker, and they asked if I wanted to like start figuring out how to do live action VR when it first started. Our company was one of the first big funders of Oculus before Facebook bought them a while back, now Meta. And we got the dev kits and all this kind of stuff, and they were like, here. And so I just changed my role and went off, and for the first 2 years I was building my own camera rigs, and I was traveling the world shooting all kinds of crazy stuff.
Nice.
I've had to jump out of an airplane. I've been on a racing catamaran in the Middle East. Yeah, that was a piece. So this is actually one of the things I'm most proud of.
Sorry, can we get a quick description for listeners who can't see what we're looking at?
Well, I did it, so I'm going to do it this time. This is a giant. How tall is this thing, Ryan?
It's 100-foot tall ball sack.
It's 100 foot
in the shape
tall.
Yes, an air balloon.
Testicular sack with a lot of pubes. There's a lot of pubes on the sack, and it's floating through the air. It's a hot air balloon. It's floating through the air.
Wow.
And it's definitely balls.
Yeah.
Each pube is 10 feet tall, and you could sponsor a pube.
Oh, wow.
And it looks like there's something on there in blue.
So this is
yes.
I did a piece. So I was part of a VR for Good program when Oculus started this, which is they teamed filmmakers with nonprofits to do entertainment that was cause based, specifically in the VR realm, because in the early days of VR, Chris Milk coined it the empathy machine, and there's a lot to that. But they found that there's a lot more engagement in getting people to firsthand feel and see and experience, so then they have a deeper understanding and connection to the cause that you're trying to promote. So I was a mentor in the first round. In the second round, I threw my name in the hat, and they chose me as a director. And they teamed me with a male cancer awareness campaign and said that I had to figure out how to make a piece about testicular cancer.
Nice.
That's a challenge.
Wow.
And I'm like, how am I going to make a compelling piece on this? And humor is the way to go. Like I thought, if we went too clinical, guys are going to take the headset off instantly.
Mm-hmm.
It could go wrong really. But if we make them laugh, they're going to be engaged, they're going to stay in it, and the message is heard. So I actually did this with my buddy from the cancer awareness, who got me in touch with Chris O'Dowd, who's from the IT crowd, and he stars in my piece. And he was afraid of heights, and I was in the balloon with him, and he's freaking out, and I'm having to calm him down. I'm like, look, I know what I'm doing. We got this, whatever.
Wow.
But it turned out to be one of the best pieces I think I've made. It's actually it's an emotional, funny, beautiful little piece. You can watch it on Meta TV. It's still up there. So.
Nice.
That's amazing. Super cool.
So Ryan is such a good director that Chris O'Dowd will get in floating balls and go over, Yeah.
I just like the idea of like someone piloting like a hot air balloon in the shape of like testicles, and someone else is freaking out like, I don't know, don't worry, I got this. This is gonna be fine. I'm done this before.
What it took to get that thing to the United States, Ryan, talk about that whole wasn't it Virgin or something at the?
Oh yeah, so Richard Branson sponsored the flying over the balls, basically.
The transportation
Oh, wow.
of the
The
balls.
transportation, because he's into like ballooning and aeronautics and stuff like that. So, and he liked the cause that we were doing. So yeah, there was a whole operation to actually get that over to the States. But the part of that plan, eventually was to fly that balloon over cities everywhere and to spark a conversation, because like if you saw that, you're like, oh shit, there's
Did
a
you see
floating
that in
ball
the
sack.
sky?
Yeah, that's true awareness right there.
Yeah.
There are just places though that will not accept it. Vatican City was like, no.
I can see them at Vatican City like,
Well,
not
We're not
here.
doing that here.
I was gonna make a joke, but I'm gonna refrain.
That's right.
That's fair.
Duly
Keep it for
noted.
off the line, right? Oh man, I really like what you said, Ryan, about the empathy machine. Can you maybe like unpack that a little bit for us?
Yeah. So, and this is something like, I've said many times, but like I'm a firm believer that the lack of empathy is tied to the lack of imagination. And people that can't put themselves into somebody else's shoes, right?
Yeah.
So this forces you to be in somebody else's shoes. So VR is the ultimate POV medium, in my opinion, because it does that.
That's really, it's super interesting. I feel like there's a lot of power there, but there's also, it's like with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility in that case, right? Because it could be very disorienting to be in someone else's shoes.
Yeah, I wanted to even touch upon that. You did a TV series called Weird Times.
Yes.
And it was like a VR experience from I don't know if any of us could like think back to the chaotic, up and down roller coaster teenagerdom was for a lot of people. And I feel like, just like thinking about that TV series that you made, like how that can be also helpful for like parents to, go back and relate to what their kids are going through.
That was a big part of that, and I think like when you're making content like that, you do have to be careful. I think it's important that the people making that content have a strong empathy through imagination. You have to be in the shoes of the person who's experiencing what you're creating. That's important. It can't be from your own ego. It can't be for other means. It has to be like, what is the experience that you want people to feel? And you have to have a strong empathy imagination to be able to do that. But also with like Weird Times, for instance, I wanted to make sure that each of the stories that I directed came from a place of authenticity. So I had writers of like all different like backgrounds and ethnicities and orientations and all this that fit the different subject matters that I was trying to create, so that it came from a true voice. And I thought that was really important. So wanted to be respectful for the media and not pretend. I don't need to mansplain to somebody. I need to come through with genuine thoughts.
That's so powerful. That's like, well, a lot of people want right now. Like even just when it comes to just relating to TV shows that are like impactful, or even immersive, medicine that's impactful, knowing that like this came from an authentic place and not just, a means to end of, just getting, views or just getting people to just get stuck in time with, what they're experiencing. So that's really powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure.
So Rye was also part of the whole Martin Luther King experience thing that was in VR as well. And I called him up afterwards and I said, I really like being part of the rally was really cool, but the making me drive home and put my hands on the steering wheel and all that, I'm like, I've actually been in a car and treated like what's going on there. What's that about? And he said this thing and I thought it was brilliant. It's like, it's not for you. It's for my very racist uncle. Right. Nice. And then he started to realize that, these audiences that Ryan's setting up for, I mean, he's getting in the mindset of someone who doesn't get it and trying to drive them to a place where they do understand it. And if you did that part of the experience, it was the whole keep your hands on, drop your keys, do all this crowd, just dehumanizing the crud out of you, right? And all you were doing is just driving home from the rally. So it was kind of I was like, well, it's kind of a buzzkill to be coming home from the rally and have that happen. He's like, yeah, well, welcome to reality, right? And I needed that to be felt, by people that otherwise wouldn't feel it, wouldn't take the time to understand it. And they needed to be stuck there, experiencing this thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. A
Yeah,
great way to.
that goes to show the power of like these immersive, whether it's gaming, whether it's medicine. It's different than just watching it or seeing it off a screen. When you're actually having to do those actions, it cues a different part of your brain. It makes you feel more in that moment. There's definitely a better word for that, but
it's a true memory sense.
Mhm.
Like they've done studies on this, like when you're fully immersed. So like everything is immersive, but there's levels of immersion.
Right.
The VR, the full takeover of your senses is the ultimate pinnacle of immersive media. But that right there like becomes a true memory sense. And after a while, what is reality? This is reality. This actually, your brain sees it as an actual experience, not you were watching something.
I do think it's important, though. I want to be really clear about two things. There's when you're sharing an experience, which is what Ryan does a lot of, right? And then empathy is really important. I do think in gaming, people start to get confused. Like when we first went out and tried to get a bunch of people we did our game jam, and we wanted folks to give us a lot of games that could be good for their mental health. They, instead of leaning back on pure play and pure experience and storytelling on the highest level, they gave us a bunch of empathy games where you played as somebody that had a particular issue. And right. I think that's a great way for you to understand like post-traumatic stress disorder, but I don't think it's a way to treat post-traumatic stress disorder. And so there's different things that you're doing there at different times. So if you break the fourth wall while you're engaged in the deep therapeutic situation, that's like a lot like what we just did with Zengens, with putting it out where you were forced into the overt mechanic instead of letting the covert mechanics, very much to make the point of this is not what you want to do, right? This is and that's what helped us get some of the latitude we have now to not force that in. That's the covert mechanics that matter moment to moment. And then you draw someone into the overt mechanic in a way that they want to, because it is thematically correct, not because now is learning time.
Right. It's a spoonful of sugar, but, to that point, like when I was a kid, I OD'd on Flintstones vitamins. So there's a...
Wow. I didn't know that was possible, but that's that's crazy.
I like the dinosaur one and the little car one. The car one was
You mentioned the different levels of immersion. And I think in one of our previous episodes we were joking around about like wait until they incorporate like smells to engage that one of our other senses that often get left out when we talk about these things.
That's a dangerous one.
Well, how do you feel the evolution of these immersive medias are going to?
The guy that did a giant ball sack. I don't know if you really wanted to put all this together.
Well, we did talk about that too. Not all the odors you're going to get are going to be pleasant, right? So
I think Chris O'Dowd actually makes a joke inside the ball sack in my piece about smelling it.
Oh wow!
So they actually did try smell-o-vision like back in the day, and a lot of people had problems. Like olfactory stuff is a whole other realm.
Yes.
And then like, is it chemicals? Like, what are you smelling? Like, right?
Yeah.
But there's a cross that's happening right now with the stuff that I've been doing traditionally and the stuff that's interactive, because I've been working on games and interactive as well. And, I think things are starting to converge in a new way. For the past year, I've been working on a project with the Polyphonic Spree that's an immersive dome. And it's a feature film with their entire last album. But there's something that right there, it's all the techniques and all the stuff that I've learned through doing VR applied to this, but in a different way. I had to see things in a different way, because we're dealing with hemispheres instead of full spheres. But the way that this brings in the community, there's something here that I think can be unlocked into a new realm with what, Ryan Douglas and everybody Deep Well and what you guys are doing. Like, there's something for a communal experience that's possible within this space. And even take that on the next level, I see that add really nice augmented classes on, like taking it to a whole other place, right? But I think the group setting is where we're heading to personally.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
big screen beyond. Well, when things are affordable, but big screen beyond. It's so light. It's like wearing sunglasses, but you
Yeah.
need like a really powerful graphics card to even run that. But
So
it
you're
takes.
back to being tethered again. That's that game, right? Like you either can't move your head around the way you
Yes.
want, or
Yeah.
you.
Right.
Yeah, it's
But,
3D
we're,
mapped to your face, so it fits like a glove, and it's
we're
like
gonna get there.
Mhm.
It's all gonna
Yes.
it's all gonna come together. But I think that we are, when we start seeing these collective experiences, what is really cool from the functional MRI standpoint is when we get you in a collective experience and you start experiencing one another in a collaborative sense, your brain starts to highlight and looks really familiar to anybody who's been on LSD, because that's really how you light up. You start to actually get into sort of a psychedelic mode a little bit. And you guys remember Dave, who's another guest we should have on here. Who,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
1000%.
so, and and Paul Stamets as well. If you go out online today, you're going to see he's pretty excited about Deep Well's clearance, and he's another person I think we should be chatting with here at some
Yeah.
point. Because
Yeah.
we're seeing the idea that this can attenuate certain behaviors and stuff like that. Now that's none of what Deep Well's up to right now, but it's still important to understand that these parapsychedelic experiences, para meaning near, that doesn't mean you're taking drugs or necessarily, but you're getting a very similar sort of response from being highly dopaminergic, high degrees of empathy, and then sort of the place. And Ryan, I'll let you pick this up for me because you know this better than I do. Because I mean, you actually start to lose sense of self, and Ryan knows a lot about this, the way he's kind of studied, ego and ego lists and stuff like that. And this sort of experience that you guys might have remembered Dave talking about, where sort of lose track of the difference between you and everything else around you.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
right.
That's the ultimate immersion. I mean, true enlightenment is the absence of all ego, and that should be what I think humans should strive for. And there's always a challenge between the id and enlightenment, and where we go on the spectrum, but we have an ability to help bring people towards enlightenment with experiences, the thing that semantics can't do. People who have opinions, political, whatever, like, you can't speak an alternate logic or rationale to somebody to change their mind in a way that, if you have an experience that you don't have to say anything, that they can go through, then they'll have it from their own personal experience, and that actually creates epiphany.
Absolutely. It's very, very, very easy to adopt that sort of behavior, that sort of thought into behavior, because it is much more subconscious. We are not designed to consciously train the subconscious. We actually kind of need the conscious out of the way, and you need to have these sort of more visceral experiences that you can interact with to start assimilating them, on the highest level. So I think the big thing here, Cody, will kind of turn it back to you, because media is really powerful, and it is its own pharmaceutical, if not the strongest pharmaceutical that is out there. Really, we need to keep remembering this sort of thing. Nothing changes our mind like story. Nothing drives us in a particular direction than the ability to wield media. And we have to remember that it's super powerful, which is why it's sadly got to be regulated, but also why it's bringing new opportunities in the field of mental and physical health therapy. Just a few years ago, the idea that a digital therapeutic was going to treat you, this has been around for 10 years, but a lot of folks were like, you gots to be kidding me. And it's just, now it's more like, we got to be really careful with this stuff, because there's a lot going on here. Sorry, Toby, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I kind of like been in some of these experiences in VR chat, and particularly some of these worlds where like I'm talking to someone who is like totally removed from themselves. They're in this, like, maybe this small little dog avatar, or they're in, like, I don't know, like something that kind of removes them, and they're in this immersive experience. We're all sitting around in a circle and just talking. And it's so beautiful, because there's a sense of, like, when we talk about how like it kind of gets in the way of like enlightenment, you are kind of like in this, when you put on the headset and you're in this whole immersive like world, and people are just sitting and talking, sharing about just random things that, you know, they want to share about, but there's no ego there. You can't, no one cares who you are, what job, no one knows any of that. It's meant to be an anonymous space just to like share and hang out, which is like something really beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. I love that. So, I mean, something for us to remember, folks, is we've been swimming in this pool for a minute, but we just told the world that if you make entertainment in this way, you can get paid to do it, and that's a really important message that we got to get busy about explaining to people how that happens, because a lot of our cohort are hurting right now, right? I mean, the layoffs are massive in entertainment. And then you got that paired up with the idea that mental health. Yeah, Cody, what were you going to say about that?
Well, yeah, there were layoffs today at Activision Blizzard King, which is
650 people.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's happening everywhere. Yeah, we need to create these, what you're saying, these new opportunities.
This perfect confluence of need and new market opportunity,
and
but
burnout in healthcare.
And folks don't understand, though. This is what we got to keep remembering is, I mean, you talk to most game developers or, you know, Polyphonic Spree for a minute or anything like that, and tell them that they are in fact potentially a therapeutic, and then they're like, well, I know I'm good for people. I'm like, no, you're a digital therapeutic. You're potentially a reimbursable digital therapeutic. They have no idea what that means at the moment, and so we got to hook this train up, right, and get people to understand.
Yeah, and that's really, you know, one of the goals of this podcast, right, is to create this knowledge and to disseminate it to people who are, you know, interested in getting into the field or, you know, hopping on the train with us and paving the road. And that's a really big reason why I'm really happy to have Ryan Hartsell here with us today, because a big component of this is, you know, learning what tools are available, what resources are out there to create these immersive experiences. And who else or who better to have than Ryan, who pretty much pioneered some of these techniques. So, yeah, Ryan, that kind of leads me to a question that I'm curious to know, or what are some of the biggest challenges that you've encountered in bringing immersive media projects to life? And how do you see industries like healthcare adapting these things, even though like they tend to move a lot slower than, you know, more artistic fields?
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenge has been trying to articulate what you're trying to do that's never been done to people to give you money to do this thing. You know?
Say that one more time.
So yeah, you know, when you're pitching an idea, say like you come up with, oh, this would be a really great VR experience or whatever, you have to prove that and get somebody to visualize who may not have the ability to visualize what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of scenarios where you have to start prototyping, and you have to start, like, you know, you have to show them, right? You have to prove it. You have a little cart before the horse kind of situation. And that's the real challenge with, like, you know, any of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As far as, you know, ideation though, you know, there's lots of ways. Like you know, as I was saying before, like if you're going to create in this medium, you need to work on building strong imagination skills and really trying to put yourself in different thoughts. One exercise that I came up with, like that I was doing at my one of my first jobs is I would do photo walks of the same alley every day and try to shoot it in a different way each time, you know, try to see it in a different way than I had yesterday. And it's a really interesting, and that could apply to a lot of things, but trying to look at the same thing over and over and try to see something different in it. And then, you know, recording what that is. Why is it different? Or seeing a different angle, a different composition, like the way the lighting is on it, you know. Those are easy techniques to keep your imagination sharp and to keep in that mode of ideation.
So I'm going to roll us back for a sec. Sorry, Toby. I'm going to roll us back for a sec, though, to monetization, because I think it's really important for us to explain to people, you know, what they're seeing and what expectation if you're developing this stuff. So Ryan and I got something in the can, and we've had it there for what, 18 months, something like that, Ryan?
Long time.
Right. And so you're talking about somebody that's got an Emmy and somebody that is able to drum up some interest. Ryan's got publishers that think he's a big deal and they publish his work, and we get stuck. And I think it's really important for you to understand that if you're out there trying to get this going at the moment. I just met with the head of flight school, head of the whole deal that Ryan's part of, and Steve was a super supportive guy, but he's asking the same question to everybody else: how are we getting this paid for now, right?
Right.
And for a while, Meta was super subsidizing things. If you were going to do it in VR, if you could convince them it was a good idea, they would give you $500,000. Deepwell at one point got $500,000 to work on an immersive experience kind of thing. And they were pretty cool about it. Like, yeah, just see if you can put this together. It wasn't like, hey, give it back if it doesn't work out. Those days are not now these days. So we've got to help people understand that there is this new monetization schedule on the other side of it and why we got to hook this thing up and how folks get paid. Ryan does it. He did this world. Oh my God, it was amazing. I was mesmerized by this world. I was so into doing the therapy design. We were cranking through the whole thing. And people want to see like 3 slides of his amazing world. And then they're like, tell us, the monetization schedule. How's this going to work? And so I think that if we can get, especially in VR, you've got pretty much the most medicinal modality there is out there at the moment. I mean, not that you can't pull this off, flat, but when you're in an immersive environment, of course, your immersive medicine is just that much easier to deliver. We got a moment now to start showing people how they build it in a way and hook it up in a way that they got a chance of getting funded. Right. And so then they can go back into their worlds and go, well, I'm going to get it funded like this. I'm going to go get this reimbursement dollars. I'm going to get it set up so people who use my game can submit it to their HSA. And so as those of us that build media, we're going to have to learn about how you get paid to make medicine to be able to do the next generation of the work we're going to do. Because it ain't coming in $500,000 grants anymore. The bloom is a little off the rose. And as far as, just show me another neat thing in VR. And smell-o-vision, it has its ups and downs. Right now. I don't think we're going to get that done just for a minute. I can definitely tell you that Call of Duty and smell-o-vision are not going to play nice.
Oh, no.
No, they did do an awesome study that showed that if you could actually smell the true smells of war, you would not fight one another.
That's very compelling.
I believe that.
Yeah. So, just thinking about that. Sorry, Toby, I know you had a place to go, but that's like a little bit of the conversation. I think it doesn't hurt, Ryan, for you to talk about how hard it is, to get on the phone. You've got that statue behind you, people. I mean, when you guys say Ryan was part of figuring out how VR, was put together, he's the guy that wrote the protocols that tell everybody how to shoot in VR. Now he's doing it for domes, right? If you're using a protocol, you're using his. And so, like when people think VR, they're going to think about Ryan, and then they're going to think about, all of these amazing projects that he's done. And they still are not whipping their wallets open. And so I want our developers and our studios and our indies to be aware what it is you're running up against right now and start learning how you're going to get funded in a new way. So when you show up, you're educating those publishers, you're educating those executive producers around, hey, look, there's a thing we can do here together. And Deepwell's definitely here. It will take us about a month, but we're going to get a page up that is about how this all works so you can communicate about it and how our, we've got this module that we just cleared. And if you click that thing into your experience and you design it right, this is going to tie you up to the reimbursement stream. So that's one way to go. You don't have to do it with us, but we're going to definitely be there as one way to do it, as well as got immersivemedicine.org and we got the Immersive Medicine Network. And we're doing this thing here to exchange these ideas with you and let you know that what is an HSA, what is an FSA account. There's 70 million people that could access these. Only about 30 million do. That includes 40 million kiddos, right? Wow. How are we going to get people using? You get to put $4,315 a year into this thing. Most people aren't using it appropriately. And you got to pay some tax at the end of the year if you don't pull out the right stuff at the right time. So if you can understand how it works and you can get it, then you can start directing people to use those dollars, get access to your experiences. And then if you work with us a little bit, we'll show you how to make sure those experiences are going to have the therapeutic benefit you're looking for.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's about, getting that message as succinct as possible with any of these things. Everybody has short attention span theater, like when you're pitching and all that kind of stuff. So boiling down your ideas and making things simple to digest, and I think that's part of like it's our job to understand what Ryan's doing deeply so that we could articulate it simply.
Well, and I think it's also really important for you to understand. I get a lot of folks that come up to me and they're like, "Hey, things have gone well for you financially." I'm like, "Mm-hmm." They're like, "Look, I would like you to EPR. I'd like you to produce this thing." I'm like, "Okay," and I'd like you to publish it. I'm like, "All right." See, this is the complicated part. I can help you design your therapy, and I can put a lot of energy and time to things we're talking about. We got a whole company to back you up. But you don't want me to be your publisher. You need somebody with a megaphone because it's more expensive to promote these things properly than it is to make them, believe it or not, especially if you do it right. If you're spending more than $500,000 on a VR experience, you are not going to get it back 99 times out of 100 right now. You got to be careful with your spend. And, you're running up against folks now. There's AAA playing in this world a little bit. So it's tricky to know how to pull that off. But they're doing it knowing that they got, basically I kind of use a couple of my friends that were in the industry. They had these publishing rules. Every dollar in dev times 2 on the way out in marketing. Right. And so,
so all the feature films that we do, it's at least the exact budget it is to produce the film in budget.
Wow. Yeah. So. And then how do you get miles out of that? How do you get miles out of those dollars? You've got to already be somebody that when they spend those dollars, right? When Deepwell first popped up on the scene, we were full of all these folks that had done amazing things in gaming. And so when we paid for our PR, we paid for our press releases. We didn't pay for people to endorse us, but we paid to get going. They got picked up and syndicated, and the stories got driven. And, and again, that's happened for Deepwell. Here again, we put out one press release. As of today, we're at about 320 stories in 31 countries. And if we had to pay for that, I mean, we'd be out of business, right? So you need to be able to have that thing reverberate. And it's really important for you to understand all the economics that you're getting involved with here. It matters to have great ideas, but it really matters to have those attached in a way that they got the highest likelihood of adoption. And your publisher is your rebroadcaster. They're your woo-woo person that gets it going. And they don't yet understand these new reimbursement codes. So you might have to go in there and do an educational pitch and help people understand that you think what you're doing is going to get you funded in a different way. And if I love it, if you get Ryan to love it, you get Cody to love it, you get Toby to love it. If Barnaby loves it, it's already funded. Like I'm telling you, if Kiki's there, then that can help. But we're not. It's not enough to just come in and then say, and throw your dollars at it. We need, the pro publishers to love it too. Deepwell is sort of like we're sort of like an augmented publisher. We're going to give you this thing that gets you access to this new market. And we're definitely going to give you the thumbs up of approval, but we don't have the same megaphone, right? Mm-hmm. When I post something out, we've had a great week. 50, 60,000 people paid attention to what we're doing. When the right publisher puts that thing out, 6 million people pay attention to what you're doing. And I'm telling you, you need that many to get the conversion rates back and get the work done.
Yep.
I was going to ask Ryan a little bit of how does he see rehab and VR together? But I also want to ask you, did you go to the Dome yet in Las Vegas? Did you do that yet?
So I haven't, but I've studied the schematics and all the stuff that I'm doing for the pipeline of how to build content for spheres. It's exactly the sphere in Vegas is a hemisphere inside. It's not the whole thing.
Right.
So all of these are actual hemispheres.
And Ryan, tell them how they're repurposing, like in different cities and stuff like that. Like this having a dome tour is going to be a real thing, right?
Absolutely. So that's one of the things so we're actually soft launching the Polyphonic Spree thing tomorrow, which
wow.
We're
in
all
Texas,
cranking.
Right?
UNT Denton's planetarium. But we've all been working around the clock to get it done. I was there this morning testing things out. But so there's a network of planetariums all over the place that aren't really being utilized. Mm-hmm. And there's an opportunity. What's happening now too is because of the Sphere in Vegas and COSM, which is it's not quite the full hemisphere, but it's a different format, but it's a hemispherical experience, and those are popping up. They just built one here, but there's one in LA and Salt Lake City. They're building a dome like that in Vegas, down in Houston. So this is going to be a new infrastructure for immersive media that currently there's not a whole lot of programming for. So I see this as a pretty big opportunity, but also being able to have a communal experience is a really powerful thing. So I'm really excited about it. But yeah, so a lot of the infrastructure that's there with the planetariums, they're starting to redo those with the LEDs. So a lot of them are still old projectors and like they're varying qualities and that. But eventually all of these things are going to be like the Sphere in Vegas quality. And it's going to be a new way.
It's going to be wild. Music experiences
I know,
are
all
going to
those
be absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I mean, all those planetariums that really haven't been getting a lot of love from it, they got a whole new way to be used. I love that. And Ryan's making it so no matter, so this is the same thing as VR. Shoot it once, it works everywhere because of these protocols.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's doing that. I think that's amazing. If you haven't heard Polyphonic Spree, they were born to do this work. And if you really are an Austin folk, then a little bit of Trip and Daisy, you can feel that. They were just, I was just hanging out at their concert. They did an outdoor concert in Seattle.
Cool.
Oh man. I mean, they just nailed it. And they did a little Nirvana too, which was, they knew how to play to the audience.
They actually did that cover of Lithium for The Big Short, that movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's so cool. It's so cool.
They toured with David Bowie back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a pretty, they have a pretty large following. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that's the evolution of Tripping Daisy, like Ryan was saying. But Polyphonic Spree, like all of their songs are about overcoming obstacles. It's very triumphant, very
inspirational.
Inspirational music. So it really fits in this realm. And there's this movie that I just helped put together with everybody. It actually has to do with a narrative that's a through line, even though each of the songs are done by different artists and stuff, but there's a through line of people overcoming things and letting go. So it's going to be a pretty powerful experience on its own, but I can't wait to start ideating on how to take this to the next level.
Amazing. Very cool. Well, I feel like we could ask you a million questions and probably spend 2 hours chatting with you, Ryan.
Pick your brain.
I mean, if everyone's free, like we can chat for a little bit more. I just want to be mindful because typically people are running out. But no, this is super cool. There's so much I feel like we can learn from you. And I mean, being a pioneer of VR and immersive experiences, digital immersive experiences, I should say, is very, very exciting. And I feel like there's so much for our listeners and for people interested in digital therapeutics or immersive medicine that they can learn from in terms of your techniques and even resources. Is there anywhere people could reach or anywhere people could look out to or go to get some resources or even learn more about your work?
I mean, you could look me up on LinkedIn or IMDb or my website's ryanhartsell.com. And the Polyphonic Spree project has a website called atmosphereshow.com.
Awesome. Perfect. Awesome. Nice. Yes, we got that pop up there. Perfect. Thank you. Go for it, Kiki.
Yes, please take some time and check out Ryan. Keep up to date. He's doing amazing things. Ryan, thank you so much as well for taking the time to chat with us. I think I speak for everybody when I say we all learned a little bit of something new today. So thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll have to look at doing another episode. Maybe we'll have to have like second parts for all of the guests we bring on.
There's no way we're doing this once. There's
so much. There's so
subscribe
much.
to the Patreon.
We didn't We didn't even go into psychedelics.
I
That's
know.
I think that's
Stay
one.
tuned
I'd
for
like
the
to
part
do
2.
one. Yeah, I'd like to do one where we really do talk about parapsychedelics and pull you
Yeah.
in here. Have
Yeah.
Dave come in, and if we're lucky, catch Paul's schedule as well. That would be
be
crazy.
amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And that
would
by the way, might be a little foreshadowing for some cool stuff that we would. That might be a crew of people who want to do a thing.
Well, there you go. That's planting a little seed for listeners to continue to follow us and tune in as we go, because we're definitely going to have that happening. Awesome. Please check us out. If this is your first time, or if this isn't your first time listening to us, please continue to follow us. You can find us on all of your favorite platforms, wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, immersivemedicine.org is where you can follow us directly and access a bunch of resources that we have. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you as well. If you want to join the conversation, join us on LinkedIn at the Immersive Medicine Network and share some of your thoughts. Yeah, thank you so much for everyone listening today. Thank you for everyone who joined us today.
Yeah, come on the show. I mean, obviously, we're not discerning. Just come on in.
Awesome. Great. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
See you
Thanks,
next
everybody.
episode.
This was amazing.
That was great.